Welcome to the Bold Analysis. The last minute events before Kalonzo Musyoka stepped out of the Senate race is just like a movie. And Kalonzo himself is revealing what exactly led to him pulling out of that race. And if you look at it, I am one person that I insisted that in the first place, Kalonzo Musyoka was not supposed to go for that Senate seat, Speaker seat, or even was not supposed to look that to go for those seats in the National Assembly or in the Senate, because he was way above that. Even though these seats depended more on the legislative strength and the lobbying by each of the political divide. And in each and everything now, William Ruto is 2 steps ahead of the rest, owing to his now the president-elect status. Now, on Wednesday night, Kalonzo Musyoka convened senators meeting at the SKM Command Center in Karen. And that was the last meeting to whip the senators, the Azimio la Umoja senators, to support his bid. So let me tell you that Azimio la Umoja and Kenya Kwanza senators was actually tying at 23 after Moses Wetangula stepped down to go and vie for the senator for the speaker's race. And in that regard, each one of them, if the UDM senators and the ones that were the ones that were for PA and Maendeleo chap, all of them, if they were to stick as initially in Azimio, actually it was a tie. And Kalonzo Musyoka was optimistic. Now, in that meeting, Raila Odinga was put on a call. Stephen Musyoka called Raila Odinga and in a loudspeaker addressed the senators there. The same meeting, President Uhuru Kenyatta was also put on a loudspeaker and addressed the senators there. However, there was something that when Raila Odinga reached out to Stewart Madzayo, who was supposed to deputize Kalonzo Musyoka in the Azimio la Umoja Senate Speaker's ticket, Stewart Madzayo was no-show and did not attend the meeting that Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka convened. And it was at that moment that Azimio la Umoja saw the red flag. So throughout the late night, Wednesday night, was just a night of lobbying, just to marshal the numbers whether this was a possibility. But when Raila's team realized that Stewart Madzayo, who was supposed to deputize Kalonzo Musyoka, was not part of the lobbying. For example, you know, as a speaker, as you seek for the speaker, even the deputy must also lobby, especially on the Azimio la Umoja side. And they realized that he had pulled out before. Not even marshalling on the members, the senators from the coast, Mombasa, Kilifi, Kwale, and the others, Stewart Madzayo did not lobby. And some of those senators did not also, especially the coastal senators, did also not attend the current meeting. At that moment, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka's possibility of winning that seat depended on William Samoei Ruto, because whoever was not part of that meeting was that of William Ruto. Now, a decision was met. They arrived at a decision and by Thursday morning. The letter that was sent to the Senate was sent the Thursday morning before the House started, on intention for Kalonzo Musyoka to pull out. And let me tell you the trap. Raila Odinga team realized that when Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka's candidature was in the floor of House, maybe William Ruto's team could use that opportunity, and because it just needed a small majority to strike a deal with Kalonzo Musyoka and give Kalonzo Musyoka that speaker seat with one intention, to make sure that the Azimio la Umoja team is flawed off. Remember, the only person that then is having a glimpse, bit of a political future between in the Azimio la Umoja side, the only man that has remained standing is Kalonzo Musyoka. And this is his opportunity. If he is to cross over on the other side, then he's the person that is going to deflate that Azimio la Umoja movement, because politically he is the only one that now remains with a political bullet. If it is to, Raila Odinga seems to have exhausted. President Uhuru Kenyatta is heading home, and this is the real deal. Why really Kalonzo had to pull out of that race last minute? Because Ruto was willing, strike a deal, get him off, and when he gets that speaker seat, I can tell you that not even 2027 he can be the matrix. That was going to seal his political future for the next 10 years. and of course this is true, because there was no way Kalonzo was going to make any impact and stage any successful contest in that speaker's race with William Ruto's onslaught in the floor of House. And in the light of this, Ruto would have sealed Kalonzo's deal with Kenya Kwanza, and that would mean that even the whole team will come into it. So the question about being flawed came out because at some point, according to the sources, is when they tried to reach out to some senators, they were not even picking calls. Some senators were sending messages and were not responding. Some of them, which were in the WhatsApp group, actually even left the WhatsApp group. So the situation was more dire. What exactly is playing out? Kalonzo is supposed to re-strategize on his future, and any person who harbors a presidential ambition after William Ruto must then harbor those ambitions away from Ruto. Because if you stick with Ruto, in 2027, you'll have to dance to his tune. When you are with him, maybe you're the Speaker of the Senate and all that. What exactly is happening here is that in 2027, he's going to consolidate Kenya Kwanza as a political party and bring everyone under the umbrella body. And when you bring everyone that, 2027, there is no one. In 2032, if they are all at his masses, then he will most likely pull the trigger and bring one candidate. But for you to move with the masses, because throughout the regime or throughout his reign, it's not normally that rosy. Of course, there are voices of dissent that are going to emerge. So if you sit aside, you can consolidate the voices of dissent and mount a presidential bid in 2027, and perhaps because you have a debt from Raila Odinga supporters, people who support Raila Odinga, Kalonzo have supported Raila ever since. I just talked to someone who was telling me, Kevin, I have a vote for Kalonzo somewhere. So this is something that was really playing out. But with Mutua and Kivutha Kibwana now in Kenya Kwanza, then Kalonzo joining, I think it meant that Azimio had no Kamba matrix remaining. But again, this also move could also have been triggered, because when Mutua and Kalonzo are there, and Mutua and Kivutha Kibwana are there, when Kalonzo comes in, they will always demand the front seat. So if that seat will be treated as a seat going to Kamba, then of course Kivutha Kibwana and Mutua would have complained about Kalonzo's space. But then Kalonzo, I think it was wise for Raila Odinga to pull him out, because that trap was laid, and Kalonzo's humiliation would have been seen as the last nail on Azimio. Remember, the contestant on the other side was Amason Kingi. And Amason Kingi, the pedigree, you cannot compare Amason Kingi in Kalonzo Musyoka. So it will be like the only other principal remaining was Kalonzo, and was also been defeated. That defeat is what people need to legitimize that victory. And that could be my inside look from the sources within on the calls, how they really tried, but the best option was for Kalonzo to leave. Guys, in your own assessment, what do you think should be Kalonzo's next course of action? What are his options? You can tell us about that.